Well, welcome to tonight's Diversify Call, our first one in September 2023. It was actually a year ago this month that we started doing these calls. So we made a whole 365.
Yeah.
So we're back starting a brand new round of different things. We're going to cover some ideas and topics this year over the course of the next year that we did last year, but we'll put different spins on it. We'll bring some new things up. We might go a little deeper into some of the topic
Yes,
that we
definitely.
just scratched the surface
Hmm.
because we know that many of you guys have grown, you've started businesses, you've like went out and ventured in new things, you've taken new jobs. There's so many different things and different levels people have accomplished since we started this, and we've got testimonies and people telling us, the different things that's happened to them, which we are so excited about it,
Yeah.
and we're just glad to be here to be able to do this.
I mean, we had people that started small businesses selling products. Other ones started their website and nonprofit, launched social media, Facebook, Instagram. We learn about some of our people, right, of the team or the group that actually purchased gold or purchased silver. Other people actually started looking for properties to invest, like multi-family homes to invest in, not just where they living at, but even in other states. So that's super exciting. And with that, doing new things, there are also no risks, right? Sometimes we think about, well, if I purchase this property, what could be the downside? This all of this sounds so good, but what if someone leaves? What if something negative happens? What does that risk look like? And actually, sometimes there's some of us human beings that analyze so much and we focus so much on the risk that that's the reason why we always remain where we are at. Because it does take a little bit of risk for us to come out of our comfort zone, for us to be okay with saying, you know what, I am going to try, getting a retirement plan. I am going to try getting a multifamily. I'm going to try starting my business, whatever it looks like. It takes courage, it takes focus, but it also takes from us to make the decision of I am going to be okay with the risk that comes with this.
Yeah, and so that's why it brings us to the topic that we want to kind of mainly go over tonight. It is about risk, like how to mitigate risk, how to insure against risk, how to get past the fear of risk, all those different things that we all experience as like investors, as entrepreneurs, as students, as any of us that are growing in a new area or new field,
Yeah.
something that we want to achieve. There's always this element of risk that scares us. It scares so many people, and it's almost paralyzing and it cripples us into not acting. So we want to look at things tonight that you could do that will help you get past that area of risk, so you take the steps necessary to go to the next level, because really it's just about mitigating the possible things. Deanna mentioned, hey, I want to buy this property, but what if this happens, and what that breaks, what if the roof catches on fire? So what happens in our minds, we automatically start discounting that. Oh, I can't manage that, or I don't want, that's gonna crush me as a person.
Mhm.
If something bad happens to the property and I don't get the rent for 1 month, it could collapse my family, then we'll be out on the streets. So we start building all these things in our mind that probably would never ever happen. And if we structure things right, whether it's our new businesses, our investments, those
Mhm.
things won't even matter, because we're going to look at things in a way that we're going to plan for those to happen.
Yes.
So whenever you're doing any kind of like business planning or buying investments, or you always want to think about, okay, if this happens, what's it going to cost me and how would I get out of that? So, and that's the thing that a lot of people don't want to talk. People don't want to talk about life insurance. We know we're all going to expire one day. It's just going to happen. There's no way around it.
Mhm.
But that's the one thing we don't want to ever. Nobody wants to meet with a insurance salesman that sells life insurance,
Mhm.
because in the back of our minds we're like, I'm not really going to die, so I don't need that,
Mhm.
and I'm going to be here to take care of my family, so why do I need to pay that much money a month? Because that's not going to happen to me. Even though we know subconsciously that this is coming, it's just something in us that says, no, that will never happen to me,
Yeah.
or no, I don't want to do that, because if this happens, I don't want to be part of it. I have to deal with it.
And we might be thinking, well, why is this connected to the diversifying of income? Well, we actually have said from the beginning that diversifying income is a way of risk mitigation. It's a way to actually reduce risk, because now you're just not receiving income through one funding stream, but through multiple funding streams, right? So listen, something goes wrong, or maybe the expectation is not met with your W-2 job, if we get let go, whatever situation, we still have some kind of monies or funding coming to us. So today we're also going to talk about other ways to cover those different types of income that we are receiving. It's another layer of risk mitigation. Um, this is not just for wealthy people. This is not just for certain people. This is for everyone. Everyone should have some risk mitigation. We've seen people that don't earn too much income, that they're, let's say that their income minus their expenses balance to zero. And then they don't have any type of insurance or risk mitigation. Guess what? They had a car accident, they have a situation, and it just puts them into a deeper negative, more stressful situation. Sometimes people, that's why they become homeless, because they had no risk mitigation at all. Now something unforeseen happens, they lose their job, and here they are, they don't have a home, they're going out on the streets. So it's like having that thought about, hey, we're building wealth, we're becoming more stable financially. Maybe we were in the negative, now we're balancing to zero. So this is another extra step that it is very important for everyone to pursue. And this is not just for people here in United States. It's for everyone around the globe. It's just, what type of risk management do we need to take to really cover what we have, the wealth that we have?
Yes, because if think about it this way, you're working so hard to get to where you are today. So
Mm,
think about throughout the past,
mm.
5 years of your life, 10 years of your life, you've worked to get to this point right here.
Yes.
So you've taken a lot of risk, you've taken a lot of things, challenges. You've done so many things. You've invested your time, you've invested money, you've invested delayed gratifications and relationships and
Yes.
everything. So why would we not want to protect those things? Because if we don't protect it, everything that we build up could be gone in an instant. It could happen so easily and so fast if we're not protected for it.
Mhm.
So that's why we're talking about this risk and asset protection, risk mitigation, And if we just start from just a very simple, basic thing that we all deal with and have to look at, that we need to have right now, is just regular health insurance.
Yes.
There's a lot of people it's different in every country. So obviously in the United States, you almost have to have health insurance because
Mm-hmm.
the healthcare system in the United States is built around the health insurance industry, and it's so expensive. I've been to other countries. I've been to Honduras and went to clinics in Honduras and had like full checkups and had shots and medication and paid like $25. If that was in the States, it would be like five, six, $1,000 for that exact same visit.
Well, maybe $25 in Honduras too.
But
It's more,
but
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 yes.
no, but it's manageable for
Yes.
people in other countries more than it is in the United
We
States.
have some
That
countries that pay that health
socialized.
is it's completely free.
Yeah. So this is not just specific to, okay, it's in the United States, you have to have health insurance.
Mhm.
Yes, that's one thing. But in other countries, there's other things. There's like socialized, medicines, and there's co-op programs and different things like that. But since the majority of us, do reside like within United States, and this is a system that we're building within, so we need to learn to protect everything that we've built up to this point.
Yes. And most of the employers are requiring United States to provide health insurance. So if you work with a W-2 job, then you could have access to health insurance through your employer. What if you don't work for an employer that is providing health insurance, or maybe it's too expensive for you? So in United States, there is provision to receive health insurance that would be sold to you, or you can maybe not sold, but you pay a premium based on your income. So we always say, look at your employer. If you're working with a W-2 job, if you're professional services, search within your state the opportunities of health plan that your state provides, and try to get health insurance. I'm gonna give a quick example, something that happened to us, right? So one of our family members had a car accident. And in the car accident, immediately the ambulance was called. They gave the first aid, they supported. And then after everything, a couple of weeks after, we received an invoice, right? And this is a story that we've heard from many, many other individuals. We received an invoice and it was thousands of dollars. I mean, just the ambulance, I think it was like 10 grand. So because we had car insurance and because we had health insurance, those two combined those two types of insurances were the ones that we had to tap into to pay for those medical bills. We know of other individuals that they had a car accident, someone hits them. It could be anything, right? We have to go to the doctor, and then, they come back to us and it's $1,000 because the kid broke their arm, 5 grand because someone broke their arm. And right there, it's like, oh, what are we going to do? So that's why that's just a quick example, right? This is real life, something that we went through, many other families go through,
Mhm.
to tap into having health insurance.
And think about, and like another thing, Deanna touched a little bit on like the car insurance.
Mhm.
So, and we know of other people, stories where they had maybe just basic car insurance, the PLPD, it only covered liability, right?
Uh-huh.
So they totaled their car, and then now they have no car. They don't have savings to buy a new car.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens? And this is real life that happens all the time with everybody. I know when you're quoting your car insurance, you're getting this quote, you get on the computer, you're looking it up, and you're like, okay. Then you see, okay, it's $100 a month, or it's $200 a month, and you're like, okay, what if I take full coverage off and we just get the $100 because that's all we can afford right now, based on what we think we can afford. We haven't, a lot of times we haven't even done our budget to really see.
Yeah.
So our initial thing we do is like, I'm just going to take the cheaper one because it's better, and then we'll have money to go to the movies now. But if we don't have the foresight to look ahead, like if you do get in a car accident and you lose that car, and say that car was a $15,000 vehicle. Well, what if that car gets totaled out and that is your only means of transportation to get to your job?
Yeah.
And you don't have $15,000 in the bank now, because now a $15,000 car costs you $25,000 because of inflation. Like if you've looked for used cars right now, it's ridiculous how much it costs.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to have the foresight with this. Is another part of insurance why we want to talk about it's important. Even though it's painful sometimes with the premiums and the things you have to pay, we have to think what we talked about at the very beginning. Let's plan for things to go wrong. Let's plan, if let's plan our car's going to break down, our car is going to get totaled. And if it doesn't, then hey, we're blessed that didn't happen, and we're great. But if it does, let's be prepared that it doesn't interrupt our life. It doesn't interrupt our ability to earn income, because that could be devastating. I know we have friends, it's devastating to their income, their ability to get employment for certain places. They have to stay close to their house because there's no transportation.
Yes.
So it's so important that we look at everything in the future, not today, not what it costs,
Mm-hmm.
but what we need to do is think, okay, I need to find money in my budget
Mm-hmm.
to cover future expenses that are going to happen. These things are going to happen sooner or later. We're going to get sick. We're going to have to go to the doctor. We're going to have to go to dental insurance. This is another big one. A lot of people don't have dental insurance because it's expensive. But when it comes to like having a filling, or you have a obsessed tooth, it's so expensive. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you hear stories of people like with these issues on the teeth for 2 years just because they don't have any types of insurance, right? So we mentioned vehicle, and I know this might sound funny, but I learned this the hard way, okay? I never thought about this type of insurance, and it's AAA. It's an insurance. It's a couple of dollars. It's here only on, I think, mainland, on the states that are in mainland. But I remember that I left my car keys inside my car, and I left my job like closer to 7 p.m. And I'm calling my brother, and my brother goes like, "You need AAA." It was like $60 for the year. But you know what? It was a small insurance, but they helped me when, like in winter time, the battery died. They helped me to, what is it that you guys do? Jumpstart the
Yeah.
car. Help me if the tire, I needed, the tire already, like because it's winter, it got deflated. Now
Yeah.
I need to fill it, and I can't do it. So that's it. Small insurance, at least here in the States within mainland, it doesn't cost a lot of money, but it will help you. Like, especially if you have like an older car that your car payment doesn't include that type of coverage, then get it, because 5 years or older, it's a matter sometimes of time for something, for your car to get sick, right? For your car to go something wrong. And it's good to have that insurance. Believe me, again, towing services, they're so expensive. So it's just looking, how much can I really afford? And this is something that we mentioned on our last two conversations, and Chad just mentioned it again. Budget, right? Look at your budget. As soon as you start being on the green, you're no longer even on zero, you're on the green. Start looking at health insurance, dental insurance. If you are like me, that we need eyeglasses, take a look at eye insurance through your employer. And then we mentioned the vehicle insurance. That's super important and is also required by law on majority of the states to have vehicle insurance. And then I mentioned also even the AAA, that small insurance for those of you that have older vehicles, to always have it, just in case if your car breaks down in the middle of the road, like mine did one time. If I would have known about AAA, I could have called the AAA and they would have come and helped me with my car.
Yep. So there's those types of insurances that, and all for many of you, this is something that you guys might already know. Some of you guys are very astute at this, and this isn't new. Some of this is a refresher, but we do have people that are younger that are joining the video call and watching our videos that they've really never heard this stuff before. So we want to make sure we cover like a broad range for everybody. The next things to think about is like life insurance. So if you haven't met with somebody to talk about life insurance, and if you have a family, the recommended amount is, if you make $100,000 a year, 10 times your yearly income is what your life insurance policy should be. So, because what happens is whoever you're leaving behind, your family, your wife, your husband, your children, they're relying on your income to live the same lifestyle, but now they're not going to have you producing the income. So that lifestyle and the education expenses, all these different things is going to be hampered. So, I mean, us personally, I hate paying for life insurance. We have term life insurance. We don't have whole life or anything like that. That's up to you and your like financial advisor. We have term life insurance because it's less expensive, and we invest. Our whole life insurance is more based on the investment value of it at the end, and you could pull cash out of it and everything. We're investing in other assets, so for us it doesn't make sense, but for some people it will make sense. But the most important thing is to at least start that conversation with somebody that, and there's plenty of people, so you won't have any hard time finding somebody that will share this. You could get the quote online, but it's something. And the younger you are, the easier this is, because you could get $1 million policy for $25 a month.
It's less expensive.
Yeah, it's less expensive. So the earlier you start doing this, the better it's going to be, and less money. And it's just a peace of mind. All of this is about having more control over our minds and our thoughts, right? We don't want to be worried all the time. Well, if my car gets broken, how am I going to pay for a new car? So every time you get in the car, you're driving down, I hope nobody hits me and crash. I hope I don't total the car because I don't have full coverage. And if that happens, what I'm going to do? These are like real thoughts. So that consumes a portion of our brain that we can't focus on anything else. So if we protect ourselves correctly on the front end, we don't have to ever worry. I don't drive down the road think, man, if this car gets totaled, sometimes I'm like, well, if this thing gets totaled, I'm getting a new car. That's just the way we should be thinking, not like, man, what's going to happen if this happens? We should already know, all right, this is my plan. This is about building a strategy for your life, your whole life.
Especially if you have younger, like young adults, if your children are between the ages of 16 and 30, I think, or maybe 28. Those are ages, right? Because they're kind of learning and experimenting, to always make sure that there is insurance. And I also want to mention something that I've heard before. People have asked us, well, how about the deductible? We've heard that question. How much would you recommend for a deductible? Either on my health plan, when we're looking at the numbers, should I do a higher deductible, less deductible? Same with other, like the vehicle. Well, should I do the 5,000, 1,000 deductible, right? And that's for every type of insurance. So this is like a rule of thumb. Um, how much money do you have in savings? And then that would be your deductible. Deductible is like an amount that you are putting out of your pocket. So sometimes they give you a deductible of 2,500. That means that you will be paying up to 2,500 out of your pocket. Everything else above 2,500 will be paid by that type of insurance. That happens with the health insurance. I remember going to the dentist or going to the doctor, and they would tell you on the card, you have a $30 deductible, or they come up with different types of amount. Same with the vehicle. They might ask you, do you want a 1,000, 2,500, 5,000? And sometimes Chad said this, we want to go with the cheaper option, right? With the less expensive. And then we say, well, I'm going to do 5,000. Remember, the rule of thumb is, do we have $5,000 in a savings account?
So I wanted a quick story. Speaking of car insurance and deductibles and all this. So I had a conversation with one of my customers today about this exact same thing. He was in a car accident a couple years ago, and it was the damage on his car was like $700-800. It wasn't a lot. Somebody hit him, they drove off. So he called his insurance. Okay, called his insurance agent. He's like, hey, should I file a claim on it? Are you going to raise my insurance on this? And he's like, it's only about like $500, $700, $800 worth of damage. Insurance agent's like, no, it's not that much money. You shouldn't worry about it. Your deductible's $500. So out of the insurance, listen, out of the insurance pocket was like $800 or $300. My customer had to pay $500 deductible. They raised his insurance $100 a month. So think about this. $1,200 a year his insurance went up because of an accident that was $300 to the insurance company. So this is where you have to really think, okay, I can't really afford a $500 deductible or $1,000 deductible. But if you have an accident, can you afford a $100 a month increase? You might not even have a choice. So if you could find it in your budget and just think about it, what's the max that I could pay out? Because you might not even need to file a claim, because if it's going to cost you, if that's why we go with higher deductibles for two reasons. Number one, we want to avoid filing a claim if we don't have to. And if number two, if we've saved up, we try to save up the amount of money to go to the higher deductible to keep the premiums low, because what's the idea of insurance? To protect us if something goes wrong. So the chances of something going wrong is lower probability than something not. So that's where we're kind of hedging our bets with the higher deductible. That's like, okay, if it goes bad, then we'll deal with it. But if it doesn't, then we saved a bunch of money throughout the year.
Yeah, be okay with asking questions. When you're searching for vehicle insurance, ask questions. How much is this covering? How, Chad mentioned, is it gonna increase my monthly premium? If it does, and same thing happened to me with my front glass, like the window of the front of my car broke, and then I filed a claim, and then here they are, like a year later when I came back to do the new quote for the following year. Well, we see here that you filed a claim. Yeah, right? We're saying, well, that's what we have an insurance for, right? But think about, ask questions to your insurance. Why, is this premium going up? What is the deductible? Ask questions to those people that are selling you, because at the end they are selling you a product, so you can ask questions, okay? Mhm.
Yeah.
So we talked already about vehicle. We did health insurance. Let's
Life
talk about life insurance, and now let's talk about apartments. If you're renting an apartment,
homeowner insurance.
or homeowners insurance.
So we had the great um we had a conversation today literally with the insurance agent for like 1 hour and 50 minutes today.
2 hours.
Or 2 hours.
Yes.
2-hour
Mhm.
phone call going over our coverages. That's part of the reason why we decided we're gonna do this specific thing, because it's fresh in our mind, and it really makes us think about, like, okay, are we doing the right things with our insurance? Now, one thing to help with your budget, and if you do not do this, you need to do this one thing. If you haven't got an insurance quote for all your stuff in the last 2 years, you're probably overpaying for whatever. Almost guarantee you're overpaying for insurance right now in some area, either homeowners, car insurance, you're overpaying. It's recommended like every 18 months to 2 years you get your insurances requoted. And I know it's a pain. We literally just went through that pain today. It's not fun, but it will save you money if you do it. And you're going to find out that you might not be covered for certain things. We did this with their homeowners insurance not too long ago, and we found out that if our basement floods, our home insurance doesn't cover our basement flooding to repair it. We had no idea. We're just paying a bunch of money a month for insurance, thinking, well, it's a new house, and if something goes wrong, it's going to get covered. We get talking to the agents like, oh no, that's not part of your policy. And we're like, what do you mean that's not part of the policy, right?
We actually call like different companies. We started the process back in May. So it is a process, and it's not, maybe this is not what we would call fun. It is work, right? But it's recommended. It is highly recommended. Not just with one company. Reach out again, maybe to two. Remember how we were talking about the vehicle insurance? You can have the same insurance company covering your vehicle and your house. If you are renting, you also can have a renter's insurance, and those are very inexpensive. Sometimes it's like $100, $200 for the entire year. But if anything happens to the building that you are living in, that you're renting, guess what? Your property is not insured. So that's why it's important to have small policy, even if you are renting, for your furniture, for your belongings that are inside that apartment. But then if you own the property, then same thing. Reach out to the same company where you had the vehicle. Listen, because of points, because if you're not driving too far away, they will give you credits that will lower your other types of insurances. So you put all of your insurances together, and it helps you in lowering your cost. So it's not necessary for you to have one company for the vehicle, another company for your house. What's important is that you have coverage. On that, on your house liability, you could include personal liability. Hey, if anyone comes inside my house and they fall down the stairs, and then suddenly they feel like they want to sue me, or someone is walking outside the street and suddenly something happens to them, they fall and they sue me, guess what? That insurance will cover. And all of this, we've experienced it. This is not something that we're coming up, you know. We know, like my family went through a kid. The kid fell on my dad's property. They sue us. Someone was walking on our property. They they bent their ankle. They decided that they wanted money. So it's so important to have your house and then also include your furniture, right? Your valuables. If you feel that your furniture has some sort of value, and if anything will happen to your property, you don't have the means, you don't have the savings to pay for it, then they pay that premium. Gonna share a short story here. We moved to this house and we had vacation. We came back from vacation. We were looking at, the back of our house, and then we're like, what happened? While we were away on vacation, the house across from us on the back of the house um had fire. They had a Christmas tree. The Christmas tree caught fire, which was beautiful, by the way. It was ginormous. Caught fire and it burned half of their house.
Oh, they had to take the whole house down.
They
It
had
was a
to,
total loss.
yes. So is it real? Yes, it's a very real. So think about it. Do you have it? You don't have it. When you have the financial means for it, then make sure that you connect with more than one company, not just one, two or better, three companies, and get quotes for renters insurance and for your home insurance.
And think about um even for your homeowners, there's a thing called like an umbrella policy that you can get. This is not something that most people talk. This is what wealthy people do, but we're not really ever taught this. There's the thing you get, it's an umbrella policy, is very inexpensive. It might be a couple $100 a year for like $1 million worth of coverage. It's not expensive at all. But what happens is if somebody's at your house or somebody's riding in the car with you or anything, somebody's walking by out front on the front porch and the next door neighbor's dog comes out and chews their leg off right in front of your house, they could sue you. Now, the majority of us, our own personal homeowners insurance is only going to cover a few $100,000 and that's it. Well, in the world we're living in today, you guys watch TV, you read the news, people are like hungry to sue everybody for everything so they don't have to work. So we have to protect ourselves. So you could get an umbrella policy over your, basically over everything, over you. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's an umbrella that follows you around.
Yeah.
So if somebody happens on your property to get hurt, your umbrella policy would kick in and it would pay for that. So probably you're not going to use it, but if something does happen, it really could save you from getting sued, because you know what the reality is, and I don't know if everybody realizes this. They think, okay, my homeowner's insurance, if somebody gets hurt, they'll pay for it and case closed, it's over. No, if somebody wants to sue you for $2 million and your insurance only covers 500,000, you're going to get a judgment against you for $2 million. So you're going to have to come up with the other $1.5 million if that's what the court like says they grant. That goes back on you, not your insurance company. So we really have to think about what I said in the beginning. What if this happens? How are we protected? What can we do to mitigate that thing happening from us? Because like I said, we all have worked way, way too hard to get to where we are, to lose everything over something that we can't even control.
The umbrella, imagine an umbrella, and that's one type of policy. And then what they do is that underneath that umbrella, then you'll have your vehicle insurance and your house insurance. So again, with the example that Chad was sharing, someone, you have a car accident, um, and then you are the one that impacts two vehicles, let's say, right? They come back at you, they sue you. Whatever your car insurance covered wasn't enough, then that umbrella will come into place.
Or your children. If your
Yes,
children's do something,
yes.
like if our daughter does something to hurt somebody playing in the backyard, it doesn't just stop at her. They come to us for it.
Mm.
So if you have kids, you have to think about if your teenage drivers out driving a car gets in an accident and really hurts somebody else. Well, as soon as their insurance runs out, coverage, they're coming right back to you, more than likely. It's not going to be your daughter or your son paying for it. It's going to be mom and dad. So this is another reason why it's important to think ahead what could happen. Obviously, we can't know everything, and we're not going to be able to protect ourselves against all things, but we at least can be responsible to protect ourselves against the things that are known that could probably happen.
Mhm.
And those are, those are policies for us personally that we look into.
So also this is another one. If you work as a freelance, if you work, you don't have a W-2 job, you do your own work, you can also get an insurance, right? There's insurances if you're consulting, if you're providing information that is related to intelligence trainings. There's a type of insurance for that. There's bonds, but then also it's like a malpractice. You've heard that, right? Quite sure that all of you have heard on a TV show, well, that doctor had malpractice, right? Um, that's what they're talking about. But also, let's say you're a handyman, you do work in a property, you can also get workers' comp. Workers' compensation is a governmental insurance. It's not too expensive, and you can get it when you do different jobs, right? Or let's say, hey, you're doing a job, you hire someone to work for you, that other person injures themselves, then if you have a workers' comp insurance, it's not too expensive, but again, is that extra step to cover, is an insurance to cover the wealth that you have in your hands, right? And I mentioned at the beginning, that's why we're doing diversify calls, right? We're having this conversation because we believe on risk mitigation. Always being able to think about, is there another way I can generate income? Because all of you have multiple skill sets.
Mhm.
And then today we're talking about another level of risk management. This is something that we share with organizations. Organizations are required to have, and sometimes organizations don't do it. And that's exactly when they start going down. You have individuals, they're wealthy, and suddenly they lose everything. And now they're on bankruptcy. You know why they are on bankruptcy? Because they did not have different types of insurances. Okay. Does it mean that insurances are going to cover everything? Well, we don't know, but that's the hope, right?
Mhm.
That's why it's important to look at the coverage. We believe that all of you are going to increase on wealth. Therefore, as your wealth increases, your coverage should also increase. Listen, I've heard family members, dad, moms, one of them passes away, and then here the other person that is alive what can make the same amount of income, and here they are living on the streets. The amount of parents that throughout my life I've had conversations with, and they're like, I can't make enough money. I lost my husband or I lost my wife.
Mhm.
I remember this man in Boston. He lost his job. His wife wasn't there. She passed away. He was living in a vehicle with his 3 children. So, what kind of security did you need to have? Okay, this is not to scare. This is just prevention.
Yeah.
When you're having, remember when we're talking about those quarterly meetings? When we were talking about those budget monthly conversations that everyone should be having? We budgeted X amount, our actuals are X amount. Include insurance as part of your conversation on your next conversation. Do we have enough? Maybe you might end up saving money, like Chad said. Do we have what we need? If you have an old car, should you be considering purchasing a new car, or at least should you be considering having an extra layer of those and what is road assistance,
Yeah, like maintenance programs you could
triple
buy for your
A,
car.
road assistance, maybe even with your own insurance. I remember one of our vehicle insurance was covering for that. It's like wonderful. So if my car breaks in the middle of the road, I just need to call that 1-800 number and they will help me.
So, okay. Well, we talked about a lot of things with insurance, and I know this could be a very boring topic for a lot of people.
Yes.
And it's one of those necessary evils that everybody has to have. Nobody wants to pay for it, but everybody needs it. But I want to go back to the very beginning when I was talking about something about insurance and what this is. Remember, this is about changing the way you think. So
Good.
once you have full protection of your assets, full
Mhm.
protection over your family, when you go to make investments, and you guys are going to do this, you guys are going to get, and I've you guys are going to get to a place
Yes.
where when you go to buy your first property or do something, if you have these things already in place and you know how this works, it makes making that step into the next thing so much easier
Yes.
because there's no fear. You already know, hey, I know if this happens, I'm covered there. If that happens, I'm covered here. It takes a lot of the analysis paralysis out of the equation. So it's really about, okay, I'm going to build myself up. Remember, we want to think like we're already like millionaires and billionaires. So we could do the same things they're doing already.
Yes.
It's just, we're stacking our pennies next to their dollars, right? We're doing what they're doing. Yeah, they might have dollar bills and we have pennies, but we're doing the same things. We're just doing it on a smaller level now. But everything, remember, is a building block. We're building towards where we want to go. And
Mhm.
this is just one of those foundational blocks that we need in place so it doesn't get, tumble over like Jenga at the end of the at the end of
That's good.
it really, we have to put this block in, and it will make it easier for you. I mean, we've going through this process that we've been going through over the last few weeks and stuff with the insurance. It's making us become even better investors because now we're learning how to like budget for different things when it comes to looking at properties and how much money we're gonna get back in returns and everything. So it's helping us to grow even faster by doing something simple as insurance. Sounds crazy, but it really does make it's super simple. And once it's in place, you just build on it. Something else comes up, you just call your agent, I need this, and you don't have to think about it.
And I love what Chat mentioned. It's mentality, right? Some of us, if not everyone here on this call, was not born with millions. So we are building our capacity to manage more. So we believe in the Bible, and it says that some had 1 talent, others 3 and 5, right? So it's with whatever you have right now, start with that amount. You don't have to wait until you have millions, right? No, to be able to get to that amount, to be able to even be more generous, you can start with what you have. You might look at it and it's like, well, this all looks negative. This doesn't look good. It's okay. What's it's important is that you're sitting down and you are confronting what looks negative and you're doing something about it. And when you even make the decision to do that, believe us, everything starts changing on your behalf. We've had people that they meet with us, they create a budget. On that week, they start implementing the budget. By the end of less than 7 days, they've already received increases. They've already received promotions at their job. So it's about making a decision to change the way we think, right? And start implementing those small steps. Look at your budget, meet with someone every month, either with your spouse, and if you're single, bring someone else along your side. Let's talk about my finances for this month, budget versus actual, and let's also then look at the insurance. Think about it differently. Believe us, like that's like the way people manage $1 million, but that's the same way that they will do 10 million, 20 million. The most difficult part is the beginning, right?
Yep. It's like going to the gym.
Yeah.
When you get a new gym membership, you're all excited when you sign up because you got this goal, like, I'm gonna have the supermodel body when I get done going to the gym after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So the hardest thing,
Running for us, right?
so the first day going gym, you're like all pumped up and it's like, yeah, I could do this. You go the next day, for about a week, you're doing good. The next week comes and it's like, oh, I don't really feel like going. And then the next, but you keep going and you keep doing it. So if you continue to work out every day faithfully, you will get results. It's impossible for you not to get results.
Yes.
If you do these little steps, like the budgeting and getting an accountability partner and doing the insurance and all these little tiny things, you will grow wealthier. It's impossible not to. Like I don't know anybody I've ever talked to that did these things and become poorer.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. It's not possible.
Especially when you have a generous heart and you're not doing this because you just want to be rich, right? You're doing this because you want to be able to help people that don't have the means. Then it's just that's life, you know. It's gonna happen for you, and then couple of maybe a year from now, 6 months from now, then you're helping other couples and letting them know, hey, you know what? I was there 6 months ago and look where I'm at. So it's that, multiplication. Other people will learn from you. And we've all we've all had failures. Like we've all gone through that. So failure is not bad. It's an opportunity for us to get better. So if any of these things have happened to you and you didn't have it, and now you're paying this humongous bill of like an invoice you got from the what is it, the ambulance, or maybe the, what is it, would they take you, emergency for the emergency room. You know how many people have gone to emergency room and they get these ginormous bills. Maybe that's you. So again, we're going to confront that bill. We're going to do something about that debt. We're not gonna hide from it. And then we're gonna make sure that we have insurance in place. So if we ever have to go again to emergency, there's an opportunity. I'm going to add something too. If you have an employer, again, in United States, Some employers, additional to your health insurance, might provide flexible spending accounts, or they might also provide a health savings account. Did I mention
Yeah.
that correctly?
So yeah, the health savings account
Yes.
is if you could get, so if you have the option between the two, the health savings account is better because when you leave your job, that health savings money that you have in that account is a savings account. It travels with you. You could take it and you
Yes.
could use it for the rest of your life for any of your medical expenses.
Yes.
Flexible spending account, you have to use it within the year of its contributions.
And it has a balance you can carry over for the following year. But if you don't have the health savings, flexible spending, it's another way of having a cushion, right? A type of insurance there. It's not an insurance, it's your money, but it's an opportunity that your employer might give you that will support you on your different medical bills throughout the year, right? For those of you that have to have your eyeglasses or your contact lenses, right? It's another way that you can help yourself. So it's not all of that money coming out from your savings account instantly. So yeah,
So one thing that I want to do before we finish up is challenge all of you guys.
that's
So
great.
many of you have been, joining us, faithfully for like a year, which we so are grateful and
We're
so
honored.
yeah, we're honored you guys are here and it's inspired us. But one thing I want to challenge you now that you've done this for a while and you've got some knowledge and everything, and I'm sure it spurned you to like read books and look at podcasts and check websites out and watch YouTube. Start teaching other people that are in your influence. Start sharing with them the things that you're learning.
That's great.
Because I'm going to tell you, for me personally, I tell Deanna this all the time. I'm not like a trainer, speaker kind of person at all. But doing things like this is like caused me like naturally to start growing and learning, getting more knowledge, just because I just start craving it more because I want to be able to be better for people that I'm sharing with.
Yes.
And it's all because I've been sharing it with people, not because I just want to be smart or anything, because I'm not the smartest person in the world. Deanna will be the first to tell you that.
I'm the first.
But anyway, it's because I share stuff and then it makes me like want to look into it to make sure I'm saying the right thing. So I really want to challenge everybody. You have enough knowledge now that you could go out and start sharing with your friends, family,
Yes.
probably your friends first before your family, because our families don't usually ever listen to us. But anyway, people you work with, start sharing, start digging into, pick up the topics that you like. Obviously, we love real estate and we love the financial literacy. So we kind of lean towards those topics. Those are what are close to our heart. But there might be other things that are really close to yours. So share the things that you're passionate about and start teaching people. Because what happens when you start sharing things, it's like a bucket, you pour it empty, you just fill it up, and you just got fresh water coming to you all the time, fresh knowledge, fresh information.
Yes, disciples making disciples. That's one of the ways, right? We think. So always share with others. Others share with others. I wanted to open it up. I know we just have a couple of minutes, but if anyone today that it's on the call live has a question, we would love to welcome your question. You're welcome to open your line and ask your question if there's anything, or even a comment.
I just want to say thank you. You opened my eyes to a lot of stuff that I'm not covered or protected with, like my children. I will start looking about that. I have a health insurance. I have an insurance in my mortgage, but I don't think it's the same thing as you're saying. I have the one that is like, um, The one that comes with the package, you know, the one that protects the payment in if anything, or the mortgage, actually, doesn't protect the payment. It's like the mortgage. Also, I have the same thing with my car, but I will start looking for something else because definitely we need to be more protected. I have one that is like, I don't know if it's like a cancer policy that usually people go to the offices and sell it. And I got that. What?
Aflac.
No, here we don't have Aflac. We have like Triple S. We have very good brands, you know. But that's. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about what I am not protected. You know, since I bought the apartment, now it's a different call.
Yeah.
So I have the basics, but I think it will be a good time to get an umbrella.
Yes,
That's
yes.
true.
Definitely with the children driving, you know, Emilio has been in 2 accidents, nothing major, but you know, Mariel is coming next with a driver's license, and you know, it's hard, and you know how we drive in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. So I do have the liability insurance that it's included in your mortgage, right? You have
Yeah.
your principal, you have your interest, and you have a liability insurance. Actually, that liability insurance is property liability because that's why they ask us to have it. The bank is saying, if there's a fire, I want to make sure that I get back what's mine, right? Because the property is partially yours and partially theirs. So
Yeah.
what you could do is that you can even reach out to that company that is already for that liability within your mortgage and then have a conversation with them. That's what we're doing. The same company that covers our house for the mortgage is the same that we're using for our car. But guess what? Because now we have car and we have the house, it starts to get cheaper.
Yeah, you're a bigger client.
And then when you ask them for an umbrella, they're like, what? People actually, right? They had like, an umbrella. We're like, yes, you know, and they're like, oh, okay, I'll quote that for you. Oh, it's X amount. It might be $100 for $1 million.
It's cheap for one account.
500,000. Yes.
Okay, so I'll do that. Thank you.
It's not even like $1,000. It's like, hey, it's $200 for $1 million.
Yeah. That's good.
That's good, Marilucy.
Adam, you look relaxed there. I love it.
Well, we're glad this was helpful. You know how to reach us, right? If you need that accountability person, we're here. And thank you for everything. And we'll see you the last Tuesday of October at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.